I think the thing that's going to really help you is to break up the floor with a rug. One, because it's going to add texture and softness, and two, because it's going to break up the floor, which is not only a hard surface, but it's also a stone, which is much harder visually than a timber. It's also quite a cold colour, even though it's kind of a warm neutral in places. It's quite a cold, it's almost colder than the green. So I definitely think that we need to think about maybe a runner in the kitchen. The other thing is that I know this might not be a permanent thing, but visually, everything that we can do to this space to warm it up would be advantageous. So I can't believe how different the kitchen looks in various photographs. So the wicker chairs, I would say they lean towards being outside chairs, even though I know they're not. They're probably more conservatory chairs. But because they have that kind of distinction about them, it makes the room feel more outsidey than insidey, which again lends to that kind of vibe. So what I might suggest you do is I might suggest that you get a really big rug. I was thinking that you could have there's too many rugs going on in my mind, but you do need to soften the floor. A rug across the back to underneath the sofa to meet the sideboard would really make a big difference. If you wanted to, you could bring that same rug up to have a really big area rug and include the dining table on it. So that whole area kind of becomes more of a snuggy area rather than just siphoning off the very, very tip of the room, which visually will make it look warmer even from the other end. So if it was me, I would get a rug that went underneath the sofa and to the sideboard, or I would get a rug that covered the sofa and the table. And then in addition to whichever one of those you choose, I would get a matching rug that was a runner up through the kitchen. And then you're still at the spaces still flow. You're not breaking the continuity by putting one pattern in one place and one pattern in another. I would go texture over pattern anyway. I'd probably keep them plain or as plain as possible. You can get those really lovely kitchen rugs that have got that kind of more of an antique-y pattern to them. They're washable. I think they're called ruggable. That pattern would work quite well as long as it's quite muted, because it would read neutral. It wouldn't read patterned, because they're almost like washed prints, aren't they? And they come in lots of different sizes. I would get one that has like a faded pink or something in it, and again that will match your rug at the end. So I would do that. I would potentially paint the walls. I think the rug is the first point of call, and then the walls, if you wanted to maintain neutral, this is where it gets tricky. This is where I'm going to struggle, because the majority of the colour you want in your kitchen and your base units, because that's what will make it feel grounded. Putting colour at the top of the kitchen is always harder. But you could go for something really discreet, warm it up in a really discreet way. I'd stay away from any greens or any of those kind of neutrals, but you could go for something like tailor tack, which is a really, or stir-about, or slipper satin. They have more warmth in them than, I mean, tailor tack is actually a soft pink, but I do think it would work